September the 8th, 2025, Manchester, United Kingdom. We at Streamseed had the great privilege to be invited to this event and capture it in full. A very cold and gloomy morning is offset by being allowed to see this event be built from the early stages of the morning to what will be a packed room of enthusiastic attendees waiting to digest all the information they can from the industry's leading individuals. Seeing the venue space come alive with seating, lighting, stage signage, and some of Andy's final spring cleaning touches, the speakers, along with their speaking coaches, have some final moments to themselves before the doors open. As attendees come into the venue, they are welcomed with a wonderful breakfast spread and opportunity to network among the other attendees. Quick disclaimer here, of the interviews that we had completed, not all the speakers were available due to time constraints and availability on the night. With the morning setup completed, attendees pouring in and the main room silent with anticipation, we welcome on stage the inaugural TEDxNorthernQuarter Master of Ceremonies, Josh Strife Hayes. Our first speaker of the day, Nicola Bark, or more formidably known as the Burmese Python. Her encapsulating 3-round speech really did make a knockout blow to the audience. She spoke of how she overcame adversities throughout her life to get where she is now, and the importance of knowing when to change direction.
I've absolutely loved being a speaker as part of the event. The training, especially the rehearsals yesterday, I've got to say are probably the most valuable in terms of being able to test my speech in front of a live audience, get real-time feedback, and have those final perfections ahead of the final TEDx. If there's one thing from my TED Talk I really hope the audience have taken away, is that failure isn't the end of the journey. It's very much the beginning, and that's what all success comes from. If there's one piece of advice I could give anyone else doing a TED Talk, it'd be just practice, practice, practice. It's true when you're going through the rehearsals, it feels rehearsed at some point, but the more you can immerse yourself in it, the more that it improves and impacts the overall delivery, so keep to it. Okay, so I hope this doesn't sound too sad, but the motto or the saying that keeps me going is, if I was to die tomorrow and sat in my grave, like, how will I feel? Because if it's a really big decision that I care about, will it matter? And if it's something small that I'm getting worked up about, will dead me in, I don't know, 30 years care? And if the answer's no, go for it anyway, because what's the worst that's going to happen?
Professor Keon West, a social psychologist at formerly Goldsmiths University of London. He is an influential person through his research on racism and anti-LGBT discrimination. His talk brought to the forefront DEI rhetoric and how words based on assumptions could be layered for both good and bad intentions. He focuses in on how talks that hold weight that show real impact, or if it's just empty words. Charles Cecil, MBE, a recognised British video game designer and co-founder of Revolution Software. You might best know him of his work creating the critically acclaimed Broken Sword series, and with a mind-blowing 3 decades in the industry, he has garnered multiple industry awards. He speaks of the evolution of gaming and technology and how Britain shone through as a pioneer to it all. Our next speaker, Simron Whittam, an award-winning entrepreneur known for his business leadership and is the CEO of the Format Group, the UK's largest games industry community organisation. On building one of the most acclaimed community movements, he's looking to share his experiences on finding meaningful connections in an increasingly expanding digital world. Simron talks about the importance of bringing people together, recognising and fighting loneliness, and providing a space for those key social factors to play. Due to the need of Simran's attention being with the organisers on the night, Simran had separated some time while at home to answer his interviewee questions.
Being a TED speaker has just been an amazing experience. To have stood on the TEDxNorthernQuarter stage is a true honour. To be asked to do a TED Talk is one of, in my opinion, the greatest honours a person can receive. It just shows that somewhere out there, someone believes in the vision and the idea that you have worth sharing with people. And it was just a phenomenal experience, from the coaching to the rehearsals to the camaraderie that was shared amongst all the speakers on the big day up in the mezzanine, cheering each other on. The whole experience was just absolutely flawless. And the training has just given me a whole new perspective on public speaking. A huge shout out to my trainer coach, Elliot Kay, who was just so kind, so gentle, and just so amazing to work with really refining that talk and just helping me share my idea worth sharing. Without Elliot, I would never have been able to craft the amazing speech that was Bring the Vibes, Bring the Tribe. And to have just stood amongst so many amazing game changers in their field who have shaped the entire landscape of their industries was nothing short of absolutely spectacular. For me, I really wanted people to leave today with the concept of community conduits. In Bring the Vibes, Bring the Tribe, I really wanted to hammer home the concept of community conduits and how we can reclaim our sense of community that's slowly being streamlined out of our day-to-day lives every single day, whether through applications, technology, or digital isolation. What a community conduit is the idea of basically bringing spaces together where people can begin to heal and feel a sense of tribal connection again that is hardwired into the very fabric of what it means to be human. You don't have to organise 2,000 people gamer raves like what I do. And in the TED Talk, I really wanted people to walk away with the idea of it could be a book club, or it could just be a coffee meetup that you organise once a week with your friends, or it could be something as minor as a group of individuals just coming together for a chat. It doesn't matter what form or shape that community conduit takes. What matters is that people understand that they all have a tribe. Every single person, regardless of how extroverted or introverted you are, has one. It does not matter. You have a tribe. No one is truly alone. And when we create spaces like community conduits, that's when we begin to heal this global epidemic of isolation in the Western world. And that is how we begin to find real, true, authentic community in our day-to-day lives. So to answer your question, community conduits is the idea worth spreading I wanted people to leave my TED Talk from. If I had to give one piece of advice for anyone who aspires to step onto the most famous red dot in the world, it would probably be this, is that there is no amount of too much rehearsing that you can do. Really think about the idea worth spreading that you want to share, and share about something that's personal to you and something that you genuinely care about and something that you think is an idea worth spreading, and really hammer home and practice that. Work with coaches, work with anyone who can help you really refine that script. I had an amazing coach that helped me take my idea, because I have all these amazing ideas, but he really helped me get to the core essence of the idea worth spreading that I wanted to share. And there is no such thing as too much practice. I was allocating time out of an already busy daily schedule as it was to make time, because if you don't rehearse, you're only doing a disservice to yourself and the idea worth spreading. So I think for anyone that really aspires to be a TED speaker, really carve out that time every single day to practice in front of people, in front of a wall, in front of yourself if need be, or simulations, it doesn't matter. But practice makes perfect.
For me, what really drives me in my work is that I've been at a position in my life where I had no community, had no friends, and had no one around me. And in that moment, whilst I was able to find the greatest strength that drives me every single day, I've never felt more alone. And there are so many people that feel like that on a day-to-day basis. And I absolutely love community, the concept of it. I feel my absolute best, and I see so many other people who feel their best when they're surrounded by a group of people that are all working towards something in common like them, or all share same values, same goals, or just shared friendships and passions. And I genuinely believe that's when humanity is at its best, when we all come together as one collective community. So that's what really drives me in my work, is wanting to help foster a community conduit that brings people together and enables people to connect with each other, whether it's in friendship, romantic interest, business, it doesn't matter. I care about bringing real authentic connection into people's day-to-day lives, because it made my life better when I was at my absolute lowest many years ago, and I just know the power that community plays in everyone's overall happiness today.
Our next interviewee is Bach, an award-winning creative mind. He has an extensive portfolio of work from fashion, street culture, and unique digital storytelling. Bach talks on his strict childhood growing up in an Asian household, but chose to break away from conformity and into creativity.
Yeah, it was an experience for me because this is my first public speaking experience. So yeah, it's amazing. The coaches were amazing. Steve, honestly, without him, I could have not done this. Like, I needed his help, his guidance, and everything in between. And he was just so helpful, you know. Like, any time of the day, he just ready, you know. I think that was one of the best experiences throughout this whole journey. Yeah. It's quite interesting you're asking that because myself, I didn't know how people were going to perceive it, right? But actually they came up to me and shared their own personal stories afterwards, which is insane. Like, there's so many people in the same shoes and they're just telling me the same stories. I'm like, wow, it's actually a very universal problem and no one's really thinking about it, you know? So that's why I feel like my speech was, you know, good in that sense. But yeah, thank you. I think just to be yourself, because by being yourself, you find the ideas that you want to share to other people, and yeah, just finding the problems or the issues that other people are facing too, and yeah, just be yourself. I mean, the same quote that was in my speech: "Suffer now, enjoy later." Delayed gratification. But actually what keeps me going is my parents. Like, I owe everything to them and everything I do is for them. So, and for my family, of course, but yeah, my parents.
With the first round of speakers completed, we were then introduced to the entertainment of the first break. The nerd violinist. With her incredible energy, physical stage dominance, and a score of recognisable gaming and pop culture songs, she would capture the audience's attention immediately. We welcome our second set of speakers. Neil is an award-winning actor and performance capture specialist, known for his great list of characters such as Carl Heisenberg from Resident Evil Village and Astarion from Baldur's Gate 3. The character Astarion earning Neil a Best Performance at the Game Awards in 2023 and a BAFTA in 2024. From struggling in TV and film to thriving in games, Neil tells his story on following your gut to find fulfillment and balance.
Oh, it's been great. I lucked out. I had John as my mentor, who's been fantastic and really instrumental in helping me take my ADHD-filled thoughts and actually honing them into a proper semi-conversational speech. It's been great. It was a little nerve-wracking in the best possible way. I think because the amount of time we have is very short to condense a whole life experience into. So I hope it was succinct, and I hope also people were interested, I guess, but also found something useful to take with their own journeys. I think the piece of advice, without being really like a dick, I think the piece of advice I'd like people to walk away from, I think, is that ultimately you are your own cavalry and you should really trust your gut, especially when it's something positive and maybe something slightly risky in a good way. It's always better to take the risk in a healthy, happy way with your career or life path than to not take it out of fear of, I don't know, of not being good enough or not succeeding. Failure taught me more than I think success ever did. I don't know if I'm in a position to give anybody advice about doing a TED Talk, but if I had to, I guess I would say try not to worry too much about the time limit. Try and be succinct and just have fun with it. Because I think the second that I loosened up by having fun, I really started enjoying it. Yeah, yeah, there's a mantra I've always kept quite close, which has been very useful. Two actually. One is luck is the residue of design, which means that to be lucky, you have to be ready to be lucky. You have to have your preparation and hard work done before. The other one is bravery is to possess fear, but to carry on regardless, which is a wonderful way of saying that it's okay to be scared about something, but bravery is doing it anyway, and irrespective of your fear, to try and conquer that by being present and getting on with the thing that you want to do. So yeah, be brave. Yeah.
Stephen had made a pre-recorded video due to an emergency not allowing him to attend. We couldn't capture this footage, but it will be available through TEDx socials soon. Stephen is an interaction design master and play design specialist at the Lego Group. He brings 2 decades of experience bringing interactive ideas to life. Stephen talks about why play isn't just for kids, and there are 4 simple ways adults can bring creativity, connection and joy to everyday life. Next, we have the creative director behind Europe's biggest creator group. Henry has brought his experience from previously working in the esports scene with Fnatic to shape visually and bring a strong cultural identity to many brands on a global scale. Henry talks on how those starting at the beginning of their content journey in their bedrooms to then turn into global entertainment brands by embracing curiosity, breaking limits, and staying relatable.
How was my experience as a speaker? It was amazing actually. I haven't actually had a huge amount of speaking experience in the past, but naturally through my job I'm used to speaking to a lot of people, and speaking about the subject, I love it so much, so it comes quite naturally. Luckily TEDx was able to sort us out with quite a few great speaker coaches, so that's been really helpful. And yeah, I felt it thoroughly enjoyable, very scary. I've learned a lot during the process, but overall it's been an amazing experience. Main takeaway of my talk, I would say it's all about embracing your inner underdog, and that imposter syndrome is real, but at the end of the day, you can actually use that as a massive competitive advantage. Sometimes not becoming complacent and actually seeing yourself as an underdog can give you a competitive advantage with how you attack anything in life, because you have so much to learn, and that's actually a blessing in many ways. So yeah. Advice I'd give to a future TEDx speaker is when you're writing your script, make sure that it comes from the heart, make sure that you're passionate about what you're speaking about, and when you get up on stage, if what you're about to speak about is what you're passionate about and what you love, you're not going to be reading it and speaking it as if you're writing and reading a text. It's just going to come out naturally, and I think that's the most important thing about a TEDx talk. In short, no, I don't actually have a mantra that I stick to, but I think one thing that I've always lived by is being honest, whether that's to yourself or the people that you're around. A huge amount of success in business and anywhere is in relationship building, and if you're honest to the people around you and yourself, I think you're only setting yourself up for healthy relationships. So yeah.
Next is Molly. Molly is an artist who had co-founded Short Supply, a trailblazing arts organisation championing early career artists from all walks of life. A vocal advocate for autonomy in creative careers. Their work interrogates the structures that shape access, opportunity and success in the arts. Their talk focuses on the importance of imagination and why it's essential in a world that's obsessed with productivity.
Well, the experience as a speaker, it was exhilarating. It was so fun. I really enjoyed it. The anticipation building up to it was definitely worse than being on the stage. So yeah, no, I just had a lot of fun with it. I haven't had any professional speech training. I don't really do any speaking gigs usually. The only kind of speaking that I do is like introducing things at some of my events, but other than that, it's just me chatting. So it really does just come from just from the soul, you know, just from a natural place, and yeah, I just enjoy doing it. So I really hope that the talk has encouraged someone to access that divergent part of their brain a little bit more. It doesn't have to be a lot more, but just a little bit. If someone goes home and thinks, yeah, maybe I will tweak my morning routine, then I think that's great, because all of that makes a difference. It restores that balance that I was talking about in the talk. So I really hope that someone has thought, you know what, actually I'm going to give myself a bit more time to chill and be imaginative, because that's what this is all about, isn't it? I think try and figure out what routine gets you ready to speak. For me personally, I like to listen to music and have a dance before I get on stage, because it stops me obsessively thinking about all of the things I could do or should do, or what if this happens or what if that happens, and it just gets me entirely in my body, entirely present, and it makes me feel good. And if you get on that stage feeling good, then it doesn't matter if you flub it doesn't matter if you miss things. All that matters is that you're connecting with the people who are listening to you. And if you're able to do that, then that's great. So find whatever that is for you, that routine that gets you in the right headspace, even if it's silly. All the times in my life when I look back and think, oh, that was stressful, that was awful, the only wish I have is that I would have just had more fun. So I think now, every day when I'm struggling or when something's bogging me down, I just think, do you know what, in 10 years I'm going to be looking back at that and wishing that I just had more fun. So it's cheesy, but I think try and inject that into it, because honestly, in years to come, none of us know how long we're going to be here for. It's probably not going to matter. So you might as well just try and find something in that moment that makes you go, do you know what? I might not have done it well, but at least I had fun doing it.
And lastly, of the second set of speakers, we have Shailene and Christiana. This elite duo have 50 years of strategic communications and engagement expertise acquired in central and local government, driving transformative change in governmental systems. Their talk explains a 5-part framework for building partnerships that succeed, whether business, creativity, or life.
So I found the whole experience amazing. The support has been brilliant, and shout out to Steve Payne for his fantastic support.
It has been one of the most supportive experiences. I think they have really looked at what needs to happen behind the scenes so that the speakers can get on the stage and be their best selves. The speaker coaches have really looked at the script, the narrative, how we tell the story, and then how we bring it to life to take the audience on the journey with us, and it has been 10 out of 10.
So I really want people to just take the time to think about how they can make their partnerships better. You know, we've given them 2 fantastic frameworks: roles, respect, responsibility, and resentment to look at. So yeah, that's what I'd love them to take away.
I would say that people don't actually understand how much partnerships are part of their lives. And from our TED Talk, they really look at their lives, who they work with, understand the partnerships, and then how can they make them better. We've been doing this we've been in a partnership for decades, more than a decade, and we worked with so many other partnerships over that time. And there is a secret to making them work. It takes work, you know, the 4 R's that Shailene went through, and also the magic. How can you use them? How can you make your own partnerships thrive?
What I would say is to just be yourself, really hone into what feels natural to you, and practice, and more practice.
I'd also think about what is the message that you're delivering. So actually you're on that stage, but the message that the audience needs to take away is the important thing. So think about how can you convey that message in the best way? How do you tell it where the audience is so engaged that they come away with that takeaway? Because the takeaway is the most important thing.
We always use perceptual positions, which is basically walking and thinking about the other person's shoes as well as your own.
So what is going on for them in that moment? What's going on in their life? What might they be thinking about? What are the challenges they're going through? And how does that impact us, how they show up as a person or in situations? Knowing what you know now about that person, how do you need to act to support them or help them with what they're facing? It is such a powerful tool.
Very.
Gearing up to the final 5 speakers, there's a final break of the evening, allowing people to socialise and get refreshed for what will draw out to be an incredible evening. Jim, better known as Caddick, is a breakthrough YouTuber who had captivated global audiences with his distinctive blend of sharp wit, cinematic production, dark humour and unfiltered absurdism. He explores how overusing the word content affects creativity in an online space. He reflects on his unique YouTube journey and the turbulence throughout hitting sky-high moments to rock bottom.
It's the whole process from start to end has been an honour, a privilege, a joy, and that's even with me saying that I messed most of my speech up in the first place. I don't know, it's been a surreal thing, it's been a blur. I didn't think this was something I would ever do, I would ever be offered. I'm very, very, yeah, like I said, privileged and honoured to have even been given the opportunity. I don't really know what else to say about it. I was just doing my thing, but I never thought me doing my thing would get this far, you know? It's just weird, yeah. One prime takeaway from my talk. Be true to yourself, make what you want to make, and that's even if you want to make anything. One of the points in my speech that I forgot about and no one seemed to notice, which is great, but one of the points that I actually wanted to touch on was the whole idea of like if somebody said to you, like, okay, you can work in a kitchen as a head chef, and you have to do that for an entire week, and there's a chance after all those 13-hour days, Monday to Sunday, there's a chance at the end of it I'll give you 10 grand, but it's only a chance. Would you do that? Because if you want to be a chef or you really love food, you might take that chance because you like cooking, you want to do that. But if the answer is that just sounds too big of a risk, or whatever, why are you doing it to yourself? That's kind of what I was getting at with the whole thing. If you want to get into not just YouTube and content or whatever, but if you want to get into anything creative, if you were making nothing for it, would you still do it? And if the answer is no, then are you doing it because you just like the idea of it, or is it because you actually want to do it? Because liking the idea of something creative isn't enough. You won't make anything creative and it won't work, and you'll be miserable. So, advice for TED Talk, doing it for the first time. The thing is, my philosophy, I suppose, since I began this, I was invited on. My advice will only apply to me, maybe. So, it could be completely wrong and different from everybody else. But my advice is you can prepare as long and hard as you want. You can learn every line, every word, every sentence, and get it down to a science, 15 minutes on the second. But you'll still get on stage and you might throw up. And then all of it was for nothing anyway. So don't put that much pressure on yourself. Accept the fact that you're here. You've been invited on because of your abilities, I suppose, and what people think you might have to say, and accept that, allow that to come out, and don't think too hard about it, because like I said, you could waste all that time preparing, and ultimately it could all still go completely wrong, and then all that time you spent worrying and putting all the pressure on yourself was for nothing. Allow it to happen, be yourself. Why I stay in it, which is how I began and how I am now, and I wasn't in the middle, hence my speech. It was trying to be funny, but not in a kind of, I want to make people laugh way and I'm going to try to do. No, I just enjoy that reaction, that engagement with people. I like what else have you got in life but to laugh at shit, and whether I'm any good at being funny, that's entirely down to the opinion of the person I'm talking to. But if I have a chance to put a smile on someone's face from trying it, then I will try to do something while expressing myself creatively, funneling my stupid ADHD, tumble, dry ahead ideas in a productive way, I guess. Because there's a lot of ideas in my head, and I started out working as a cashier in a supermarket, and when you're doing something that monotonous, all you're doing is forming ideas, forming things that you would rather be doing and things that you'd want to do, and it's an outlet, I suppose. It's an outlet for me, mixed with, and I like the reaction, I guess, and paycheck ain't bad either.
Joe Brammer, CEO and studio head of Bulkhead. They boast an impressive 120 people, having been backed by Tencent from the humble beginnings of 6 graduates. Joe has pioneered a 4-day work week and works in multiple areas in the business, from artist, designer, game director, producer, and executive producer. Joe is openly challenging the myth that video games are harmful to children. He talks on the positive impact they have with problem-solving, creativity, and social growth. Our next speaker is Emma Henderson, MBE, a natural leader and former airline captain with over 3 decades of experience in the aviation industry. This has led her to found Grounded Leadership, and as an internationally sought-after speaker, she's combined a philosophy that brings together the logic of aviation with human leadership demands. Emma talks on how to navigate turbulence with clarity and confidence, using a simple structure for decision-making when the world feels overwhelming. Next, we have Jess Wiseman, a naturally gifted creator and artist. Jess has spent her time in the creative industry dedicating hours to self-taught mediums across animation, design, illustration, and product innovation. She's capitalized on this great skill and has worked with notable clientele such as the Sidemen, Doja Cat, Reebok, and many, many more. Jess talks on the edge that human effort and curiosity have and how they're really competitive advantages. She delves into the importance of human creation in an ever-evolving AI creative world. The last, but definitely not the least, is Sam. Sam is an ex-professional footballer turned youth worker. His selfless vision is a world where every young person, no matter their background, can follow their dreams with the right support and pathways to succeed. Sam wants to build an ecosystem that connects underserved young people to the experiences, skills, and networks needed to thrive. Sam talks on how nearly 1 million young people in the UK are economically inactive and labelled as a crisis. Sam is challenging the narrative, reframing them as our greatest untapped treasure.
I've found this whole experience, I don't know, thought-provoking. It's kind of shifted the way I feel about myself and my speaking abilities, and it's been a life-changing experience. And to my feedback on the work I've done with Elliot, I literally love Elliot. He's the comedian of the group. He brings us all together. He makes us laugh, but most importantly, he's really honest. He gives really constructive feedback. But he helped me take my talk to the next level and kind of look at ideas and ways of how I weave things in that I wouldn't have usually thought about. So, yeah, I can't recommend this process enough more than anyone, because I've been part of different public speaking, training and courses before, but every single detail that Andy, Simron and the rest of the team have thought about has taken us to the next level. The key takeaway that I want every single person in the audience to take away with them today is that we all have agency to support one young person in our community, and we all have the power to support them get closer to an economic outcome through education, employment or training. And I've got a red piece of string as part of my talk to symbolise that, and everyone's going to either wrap around their finger like the TEDx or put it around their wrist, and that will hold them accountable to take an action to solve what society calls as a need crisis, with nearly 1 million young people that aren't in education, employment or training in our country today. My greatest piece of advice I would give to you, if you had a TED talk next week, is put your glad drags on, stand in front of a wall and just visualise everyone in front of you being there, because visualisation is so important. And yeah, that was one of the best bits of advice I've ever given. And just really think about what is the action you want people to take after you finish speaking, how do you want them to feel, and how do you want them to think, and try and reverse engineer that as well. When the going gets tough, like in any business or journey, the thing that keeps me going is the young people and the real stories of those that aren't being seen or heard. And every single day I get to listen to their perspectives, and the different challenges that they're going through is completely outside their control. So what brings me purpose is creating like an ecosystem through the company that I work for, Inspire to Ignite, to ensure that every young person has the opportunity to access the experiences and the networks and the pathways to succeed.
The first of the Q&A sessions were hosted by Josh Strife-Hayes, and he sat with Neil Newbon, as they opened questions to the audience in which a uniquely intimate interaction allowed head-scratching questions be answered by a member of Screening Gaming they admired. With each speaker having their moment to talk of their past, their experiences, and to share stories with an audience that were at the edge of their seats throughout, we had a final few talk panels to complete before ending the night. Lastly, we held the Creator Chat with host Josh Strife-Hayes and creators Jim Caddick, Jess Wiseman, and Henry White. with the creators having their final talks. We finish on an intimate talk with our speakers Shailene and Christiana, Molly, Simron, Sam and Nicola. And that's a wrap. Thank you for watching, and we hope that you gained some insight from our speakers' interviews on what you might have missed. A massive thank you to the TEDx organisers and staff who made this event. It was truly a thought-provoking and humbling experience. We cannot wait for the next one.